In 2026, the airport has quietly changed in ways most senior travelers were never told about. You can book months ahead, pack carefully, arrive early, and still hear that your identification is no longer accepted or face a fee nobody warned you about. Not because you did something wrong, but because the rule changed while no one was watching. Some of these changes are already in effect. Others are expanding across the country, and a few will cost you money if you show up prepared the old way. I spent weeks reading TSA announcements, federal transportation rules, and airline policy updates to find the changes actually catching people right now. 12 of them today. And the last one is money the airlines hope you never ask for. If you fly after 60, these are the 12 changes you must know before your next flight. Let's start with the document rule that catches people who did everything correctly. Number 12. Your passport can be valid and still get you denied. This conversation happens at check-in counters every single day, and it always starts the same way. The traveler says their passport has not expired. The agent looks at it, shakes their head, and explains they still cannot board. It sounds like a mistake. It usually is not. Many countries require your passport to stay valid for 6 months beyond the date you arrive. Others require 3 months. A few only need it valid on the day you enter. The requirement depends entirely on where you are going, and there is no single standard. Airlines check these requirements at check-in through an automated system. If your passport does not clearly meet the destination's rule, they will refuse to board you. They enforce this more strictly than immigration itself does, because if you are turned away after landing, the airline is responsible for flying you home at their own cost. There is a second trap that catches almost nobody by surprise, because almost nobody knows about it. For travel to Europe, your passport must have been issued within the last 10 years on the day you enter. That means a passport with extra validity added at renewal can look perfectly fine on the expiry date and still fail the rule. For a senior traveler who renewed years ago and has not looked closely since, both of these can be sitting quietly in a drawer right now. The fix. Before booking any international trip, check both dates on your passport, the expiry and the issue date, against your destination's specific requirement. If you have less than 9 months of validity left, renew before you book. That covers the document that can quietly cancel a trip. The next rule can cost you $45 before you reach the scanner. Number 11. Forgetting the right identification now has a price. Since the 1st of February this year, arriving at a checkpoint without a real ID or another accepted form of identification triggers a paid process called TSA Confirm ID. The fee is $45. It covers a 10-day travel window. You do not get the money back. Here is the part travelers rarely hear until it is happening to them. Paying does not guarantee you get through. TSA has stated this directly. The system may still be unable to confirm who you are, and the fee is not refunded when that happens. The process can also add 10 to 30 minutes on top of your normal screening time. The people this catches are almost never people who forgot their wallet at home. They are people who had no idea their license was the wrong kind. A real ID has a small star printed in the upper corner of the card. No star means it does not work for flying, regardless of how valid it is for driving, and regardless of how many years you have carried it. This affects older travelers more than anyone, because a license renewed some years ago may be from before the standard existed. Someone who has driven safely for decades can arrive at the airport and discover the card in their wallet is not enough anymore. The fix. Take your license out right now and look at the top corner for a small star. If there is no star, bring your passport instead. It is fully accepted and it costs nothing. Speaking of documents, there is a change that works in your favor and almost nobody expects it. Number 10. Someone can walk you to the gate again. For more than 20 years, the rule at American airports was simple. No boarding pass, no entry past security. If a family member drove you to the airport, they said goodbye at the curb and you handled everything else alone. That has quietly changed at a growing number of airports. More than 20 U.S. airports now offer what they call a guest pass or visitor pass. It allows someone without a plane ticket to go through security and into the terminal with you, for free. They can help with your bags, sit with you at the gate, and stay until you actually board. At some airports, they can also meet you at the gate when you land. The process is straightforward. Your family member applies online ahead of time, usually with their full legal name and the date of the visit. TSA approves the application, and they receive a digital pass on their phone. At the airport, they go through the same screening as everyone else, with their identification in hand. There are limits worth knowing. Guests cannot use TSA pre-check lanes. Some airports restrict guests to certain terminals, and a few limit visits to 6 hours. Every program has a daily capacity, so applying early matters. For an older traveler flying alone, this changes the entire morning. Instead of managing bags, gate changes, and announcements by yourself, someone you trust can stay with you until the moment you step onto the plane. The fix. Search your departure airport's name along with the words Visitor Pass and apply a few days before your trip. If the program exists, it costs nothing and it changes the whole experience. That one helps you. The next one is physical, and it happens at the scanner. Number 9. Your carry-on may not physically fit the new scanner. Picture the moment. Your bag reaches the scanner and instead of rolling through, it stops. An officer asks you to step aside. Nothing prohibited is inside. The bag simply will not fit through the opening. Airports across the country are replacing older X-ray machines with newer CT scanners that produce a three-dimensional image. There are now more than 1,100 of them installed at close to 300 airports. In those lanes, laptops and approved liquids can often stay inside your bag, which speeds everything up. But some of these newer machines have a smaller opening than the equipment they replaced. A soft-sided suitcase that meets the airline's published dimensions when empty can become just bulky enough once it is fully packed that it no longer passes through. When that happens, there is no squeezing it through. You are usually sent back to the airline counter to check the bag, and checking it at the airport almost always costs more than adding it during booking would have. The fix. Zip every expandable section closed and check your bag's size after it is fully packed, not while it is empty in the closet. The bag that matters is the one you will actually carry through security. Now here is a rule that changed in your favor, and a surprising number of people still have not heard about it. Number 8. Shoes stay on now. For nearly 20 years, taking your shoes off at security was simply part of flying. Everyone did it. Nobody questioned it. That requirement ended in July of last year, nationwide, at every airport. You can keep your shoes on, every age group, every standard lane. You do not need TSA pre-check for it. The change came from the Department of Homeland Security, and it took effect immediately. And yet right now, at airports across the country, people are still bending down at the belt out of pure habit. For anyone with knee trouble, hip pain, or balance concerns, that is an unnecessary risk they no longer have to take. There are 2 exceptions worth knowing. If you are sent to secondary screening, you can still be asked to remove your shoes. And certain footwear still triggers alarms regardless of the policy, particularly shoes with steel toes, heavy buckles, or metal support shanks, which include some orthopedic footwear. The fix. Wear something with a soft sole and minimal metal, and keep them on unless an officer specifically asks otherwise. Do not follow the person ahead of you in line. Follow the officer. Now, if security feels inconsistent from one trip to the next, there is a reason for that. Number 7. Two lanes at one checkpoint can have different rules. Here is something that makes travelers feel like they are losing their minds. You fly out of one airport and leave your laptop inside your bag with no problem at all. You fly home through a different airport and get stopped for doing exactly the same thing. Nobody changed the rules on you. You changed machines. The newer CT scanners allow laptops and travel-size liquids to stay packed. The older X-ray machines do not. Both types are still in service, and they frequently sit side by side at the very same checkpoint. The left lane might have the new equipment, while the right lane still uses the old belt. In an older lane, nothing has changed. Laptop out, flat in a bin, exactly as it has been for years. There is also a quieter effect worth knowing. Because the newer machines see so much more detail, a densely packed bag full of tangled cords and layered items gets flagged more often than it used to. The bag has not changed. What the machine can see has. The fix. Look at the machine before you start unpacking, or simply ask the officer at the front of your lane. They will tell you in 2 seconds, and it saves you guessing. That covers the bag going through the scanner. There is another bag getting measured now, and most travelers think it is safe. Number 6. Your personal item is being measured too. Most travelers worry about the roller bag and treat the personal item as an afterthought. A backpack, a tote, a small case that slides under the seat. Nobody expects it to cause trouble. That assumption is becoming expensive. Airlines have started paying attention to oversized personal items in a way they did not just a couple of years ago. The underseat bag is no longer an automatic free pass. A backpack that meets the size limit while empty can stiffen, bulge, and stop fitting under the seat once it is packed with a laptop, a water bottle, snacks, a jacket, and everything else. If it does not slide under the seat in front of you without force, the airline can reclassify it. On stricter fares, that turns a bag you assumed was free into a fee at the gate. This matters especially for older travelers because the personal item is usually where the important things live. Medication, glasses, documents, chargers, anything needed during the flight. It is the bag you genuinely cannot afford to have taken away. The fix. Pack your personal item fully at home and set it on the floor. Press nothing in and hold no pockets flat. If it would not slide under a seat easily, take something out before the airport makes you do it in public. The next one is about a change many travelers have already made without realizing the risk. Number 5. A digital ID is not a replacement for the card. More travelers are leaving the house with one less thing in their wallet. Instead of a plastic driver's license, they plan to use the digital version stored on their phone. At many airports, that works. It does not mean you should leave the physical card at home. Digital driver's licenses are expanding across the country, and TSA accepts them at a growing number of airports. But the system depends on two things working at the same moment. The airport's equipment has to be functioning, and your state's digital identity platform has to be responding. When either one has a problem, the process stops. There have been cases of perfectly valid digital IDs failing verification because of a system issue, sending travelers into additional screening and, in some cases, causing missed flights. There is one more mistake people make when this happens. They pull up a photograph of their driver's license on their phone. A picture of your identification is not the same thing as the card. TSA may still require the physical document or another accepted form such as a passport. The fix. Use the digital version if you like it, but always carry the physical card as a backup. It takes no space in your wallet, and it can save an entire trip when the technology decides not to cooperate. Now here is one where the confusion has been going the other direction entirely. Number 4. The liquid rule did not change. You have probably seen headlines suggesting the liquid limit was being scrapped. A federal official commented last year that the policy was being reevaluated and hinted at an announcement about allowed sizes. That single comment produced a wave of stories, and a lot of travelers came away believing the rule was gone. It is not gone. No nationwide change has been made. The The limit is still the same. Containers of 3.4 ounces or less, all fitting inside one clear quart-sized bag, one bag per passenger. That remains the rule at every American airport. What actually changed is the screening process, not the limit. In lanes with the newer scanners, you can often leave that quart bag inside your carry-on instead of pulling it out. That makes the checkpoint feel easier and more modern, and it is exactly why so many people assumed the rule itself had been relaxed. Some airports in Europe have genuinely relaxed their limits with newer equipment, and American travelers reading about those changes often assume the same applies here. It does not. The fix. Pack to the 3.4-ounce limit every single time. Anything larger belongs in your checked bag, unless it is medication, which is exempt when you declare it at the start of screening. While the liquid rule stayed the same, the identification process is quietly changing more than anything else at the checkpoint. Number 3. Facial recognition is replacing the ID check. At a growing number of airports, the moment where you hand over your license is starting to disappear. TSA now operates a program where a camera compares your face against your stored identity document instead of an officer examining a physical card. It is currently running at 65 airports nationwide and works with more than 100 participating airlines. TSA has plans to expand it to dozens more airports this year. In June, TSA partnered with Google Wallet to make signing up easier, which is the first time a digital wallet has been connected to the system directly. Travelers create a digital identity using their passport, check in for their flight, and opt in through their boarding pass. The program is voluntary and it requires TSA pre-check. Nobody is being forced into it, but it signals clearly where American airport security is heading, and it is arriving faster than most travelers realize. If you would rather not use facial comparison, you can still present a physical document and go through the standard process. That option is not disappearing. The fix. If you have TSA pre-check and want the faster lane, look up whether your home airport supports it. If you would rather not, simply keep using your physical identification as normal. The next one is a safety rule that has become far stricter, and it involves something almost everyone now carries. Number 2, power banks now need a visible rating. If there is one item causing repeated problems at checkpoints, it is the portable charger, not because they are banned, because people pack them in the wrong place. A power bank contains a lithium battery, and those batteries can overheat or catch fire if damaged. In the cabin, a crew member can respond immediately. In the cargo hold, nobody can reach it. That is why they belong in your carry-on and never in a checked bag. Here is the detail that surprises people. Officers may check whether your power bank clearly displays its watt-hour rating, usually printed in small text on the casing. If that rating is not visible, or the battery exceeds the permitted limit without approval, it can create a problem at the checkpoint. Some inexpensive models do not print the rating at all, which leaves travelers with no way to prove what they are carrying. The same applies to suitcases with built-in batteries and to heated travel gear. If a battery cannot be removed by hand when a bag has to be checked, some airlines will simply refuse to accept it. The fix. Before every trip, find anything in your bag that charges and move it to your carry-on. Check that your power bank has its rating printed and visible, and if you own smart luggage, learn how to remove the battery before you reach the airport. And now the last one, which is the one most likely to put money back in your pocket. Number 1, the cash refund airlines hope you do not ask for. Your flight gets canceled, or it is delayed so badly that the whole trip stops making sense. An agent offers to rebook you, or hands you a travel voucher, and most people accept one of those on the spot without asking anything further. That is where a great deal of money quietly disappears. Under federal rules currently in effect, if an airline cancels your flight or significantly delays it and you choose not to travel, you are entitled to a cash refund to your original form of payment. Not a voucher, not airline credit, Actual money returned to the card you paid with. The rules define significance clearly. More than 3 hours on a domestic flight, more than 6 hours on an international one. It also applies if the airline changes your departure or arrival airport, adds a connection, or downgrades your seat and you decline the new arrangement. The refund is supposed to be automatic. You should not have to file a form, make a phone call, or argue with anyone. Credit card refunds must be returned within 7 business days. The same protection covers your bag fee. If you paid to check a bag and it does not arrive within 12 hours of a domestic flight, that fee must be refunded, provided you filed a report at the airport. A voucher is fine if you already know you will fly that airline again. But if the trip is off or the replacement flight no longer works for you, accepting credit may mean giving up cash you had every right to receive. The fix. Before accepting anything at the gate, ask one question. Does this situation qualify for a cash refund? Take a moment to decide rather than agreeing to the first thing offered while you are tired and rushed. Now I'm curious, which one of these surprised you the most? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to know. And if you want your next trip to feel smoother, calmer, and more in control, make sure you subscribe. Because stress at the airport doesn't come from travel. It comes from not knowing what's really happening.